Hey there, Internet. How's it going? Nisekoi. It's a show which, honestly, I kind of just picked up and just kind of, or at least one of my friends on Facebook, they told me to check it out and look at it. And honestly, I really like the show. Kind of how from when it started, it did honestly kind of give me a quick little insight upon our main character. He likes to cook, and honestly, he does have a past in which that he made a promise with a girl in which that he knew when he was a kid, and he has this locket and she has this key, and there's this whole thing that's going on in which that it's been like 10 years now. He's trying to keep a promise. And he is the son of a Yakuza member, and honestly, every morning it seems as though he makes breakfast for every single member who basically lives in the house. And that is actually a pretty cool thing. However, as we kind of slowly see him move into school, or at least like when he kind of gets into his thing, because he doesn't want to be a Yakuza member, like how they all constantly keep on telling him, he's going to be the next boss. He's like, I'm not going to be the Yakuza. I'm not going to be a Yakuza member. I am going to be a guy who's going to be just white collar. I'm going to give me a job, going to go, man, to college, and I'm just going to just live my life, and I'm going to do it without necessarily trying, man, to kill people or fight people. So that's kind of his thing, which is something that I do have to admire. And it goes from that to him in school and just showing him to be a very, very normal guy. And then that's when we meet the other character in this show, or at least like our main character's name is Raku. And that, and going from his thing, we meet our some of his friends from school. Some of his. Well, now he only has like 2 friends in school, and that's when we meet our first lady of the show, Chitoge, who honestly is which that, as they do kind of constantly keep talking about it, she's half American, half Japanese, and honestly, she is a very rough girl who, or at least like at the very least, she looks like a very cute girl, but at the end of the day, she does kind of come off as a bit more of a tomboy because she is way more physical and she's super athletic, and also she does really good in physical activities. However, because she really isn't all that good in Japanese, she really kind of has a hard time keeping up in class. And honestly, Raku, he does kind of try, man, and make friends with her. However, because of how they first met and everything, she really doesn't want to have anything to do with him. Such as like when they first met, she hopped over the fence because she was late and need him in the face, and half-heartedly apologized and ran off. And he really did kind of hold her to that, especially since he lost his locket and forced her to kind of help him with it. And this was like a back and forth thing all the way until the end of the episode, in which that she did kind of come off as, a bit too opinionated, and it did kind of make Raku mad, and he told her to like go off. He doesn't need her help, and then it's a whole thing of that, which most of the first episode, so it does take place inside of Raku's mind, as pretty much he kind of like speaks most of his regrets through his head of saying like, I shouldn't have did that, stuff like that. And honestly, you can honestly feel for him. And then there's the whole thing of like with them. Well, now at the end of the episode, she does kind of find his locket for him. However, this is when something interesting kind of happens, in which that the girl who that Raku does like in school, Kosaki, or Onodera, which that he mostly calls her by her last name. The girl who that man he does like, she kind of looks at his locket and says like, "Oh, wait a second, you actually got that same thing." And honestly, she has a key, just like in the beginning. However, when he comes out, or honestly, at the very least, when she looks at it, he notices, or at least like when he said that he's gonna give up on the promise, she kind of convinces him not to, and that's when it triggers in his head. It's like, she could be the girl who gave me this locket. She even has a key to it, and she's having trouble asking him about it. Now, honestly, for this first episode, it does kind of go off with how it began with them in the Yakuza house and with his father asking him, "I need to talk to you later because we need to have a serious talk." And the serious talk was that there was going to be a war going on with the gang from one of his friends who's also a gang leader, and and his turf wanted man to take over, and the only way to kind of quell it was to get his son Raku, and for those of you who've already guessed it, is that Chitoge is actually is the daughter of said friend of his father, and they both want them to fake as if that they were dating for like the next 3 years, just so a gang turf war, it doesn't break out and destroy everything. So honestly, that's kind of what happened in the first episode. Most of that was just them outside just rummaging in the grass trying to find the locket. But honestly, it was a tender moment, and really it does kind of play out a little bit better than what you would expect from an anime in which that, you know, it has Yakuza in it and, you know, forced love. However, for a show like this, it works really, really well. Or at the very least for the first one, you know, it's all physical comedy, which that it's like he says something about her and then she's quick to hit him, which honestly that is kind of a comedic thing. But I can only assume that like in later episodes they won't necessarily rely so heavily upon just the physical comedy of her having to like beat on Raku a lot, or, you know, Chitoge honestly kind of getting super angry over something as minuscule as him calling her a monkey girl or something. So there's always that. However, that's kind of what I got to say about that. This was my first impressions of it. Honestly, I've only seen one episode, and I want to marathon the entire thing. I think I may have an addiction, but most likely, I do recommend this episode, and I do recommend this anime because, hey, it looks pretty okay. Hopefully, this one does a little bit better than most of the other animes in which that I've looked at in the first impressions. But hey, from what I've seen so far, it's doing pretty good. So hey, check it out, and hey, let me know what you think down there in the comment section. I'll see you guys on the next Young Grave Show. I am out.